I play a lot of games. I am a huge fan of action games, Pokemon, JRPGs, hero shooters, puzzle games, platform fighters, Metroidvanias, and literally every game that can possibly be thought of. However, one type of game has always stuck out to me as something extra special, a genre that caused me to create a whole YouTube channel around it, and that is the Souls games. They feature beautiful worlds, exciting and stressful combat, intricate lore, and absolutely terrifying bosses. Above all else, however, these games give you an immense feeling of triumph and achievement. When you finally learn the timing for every parry, when to run the hell away, and when to capitalize on even the smallest of openings. When you have died countless times, but then have the perfect run, where against all odds, you won. That is the feeling I play these games for, and why I became obsessed with each and every one. However, many players don't get into these games, and for good reason. Who wants to come home after a long day just to get their ass handed to them for a couple of hours before they call it a night? It is a genre that inherently will lose most of its player base just because of how unforgiving many of the games can be. But if you are somebody who has seen these games, maybe Dark Souls or Elden Ring, and you thought they looked amazing or something about them enticed you, but in the end you stepped away because of the steep difficulty curve, then I have some great news for you. In this video, I will explain why I think Khazan, the First Berseker, is the perfect game for anyone who has seen or maybe tried Souls games but never lasted long due to the difficulty curve and unique playstyle that they have. This is mostly because this game technically is not a Souls-like, at least by the developer's definition, as they call it a hardcore action game. However, in almost every way and by every criteria, this title is considered a Souls-like. It has bonfires, focuses on tough combat, a level system utilizing a resource gain from enemies, losing said resource when dying, nearly mechanically identical, and so on. Quick disclosure, when I call a game a Souls-like, I am by no means trying to take away from the identity that this game has formed for itself. While From Software has coined the term Souls for itself, and thus by extension all games that feature a system and format very close to it are called Souls-likes, they still bring unique cards to the table, and in the First Berserker's case, those cards are what make it an amazing game to help get into the genre. I am using this term mostly as a way to connect all of these games together and help classify what makes them different than other action games such as God of War or Assassin's Creed. So, what makes this game so great for those who want to get into the Souls-like genre without taking away the feeling of triumph and achievement that you seek when playing games like this? Well, let's go ahead and get into it. First, just to get it up and out there, this game does have two modes, easy and normal. So even if everything I say in this video does not convince you, there's always an easy mode to fall back on if you just want to enjoy the story and fiddle with the combat more freely without being punished. However, I recommend doing the normal mode, as paired with the reasons I will get into after this. It is, in my eyes, the perfect combination of easy enough to get into and still rewarding to accomplish, as you will still get the Souls-like treatment, but just less punishing than the other titles. Alright, now into the main reasons. First, as a whole, this game has way more flexibility in playstyle and forgiving openings in its combat. What does this mean? Well, in order to fend off attacks from these relentless bosses, you will need to, dodge. And for the most part, each game has one or two ways that they want you to avoid damage. Elden Ring, for example, mostly focuses on utilizing the invincibility frames on your dodge roll. In the First Berserker, you can prevent taking damage through guarding, parrying, dodging, perfect dodging, and through the use of certain skills. This gives you a lot more flexibility for how you want to play, and lets you create a playstyle that will support you throughout most of the game. I personally prefer trying to parry as much as possible, as it feels super badass, but you could just guard and manage your stamina if you're not a fan of timing. The whole point is that you can choose what style fits you best. Also, the windows for hitting the perfect dodges and parries are much more forgiving in this game as well, especially when compared to other games like Lies of P. So, you can pick up these mechanics and mix and match whatever ones you want to use without being punished too heavily for it. Also, there is a specific skill worth mentioning being Whirlwind on the spear weapons. This is a skill that quite literally will parry all incoming attacks as long as you have the skill points for it, and again, goes to show all the options you can utilize in this game. Next, I want to talk about how death works in these games. Normally, when you die, you respawn and drop whatever currency you use to level up. If you die before you were able to pick it up again, then what currency you had is gone forever. This has been a staple in this genre of games, as it is a great way to add consequences without lowering your level or losing your gear. One problem, however, is if you do have a lot of runes, for example, and you stumble into a boss room that you're not prepared for, you will die and your runes will be stuck in that room with the boss. So in order to get them back, you will need to re-enter the boss room and make a break for it, hoping to get them without dying, and then you need to beat the boss. In the first Berserker, your currency to level up is dropped outside the boss room, and not only that, you actually get some of this currency every time you die against the boss. This makes it so as you're practicing and learning the boss patterns, you will also be getting stronger stat-wise and through the skill tree as you get skill points from the experience gained from dying. This might not sound like a lot, but makes a huge difference for newer players. Instead of going into a boss fight, getting shit on, and then leaving to grind lower level enemies to get stronger before even beginning to try the fight again, you can both grind levels and learn patterns at the same time, and is a much more fun way to play the game than mindlessly slaughtering lower level enemies. This game also has two big differences when it comes to bosses. First, instead of getting a guaranteed item or weapon drop for defeating them, you get a random reward. It could be an armor piece, a weapon, an item for crafting, and so on. The second big difference is that you can replay these fights as often as you like, and this is crucial for getting the gear you might want. This is very helpful for newer players for multiple reasons. First, you obviously get practice as well as weapon and armor drops, but the second benefit is a little more hidden. Most armor and weapon sets feature set bonuses dependent on how much of your gear is part of that set, and so replaying these fights in order to get multiple pieces of a set is such an easy way to get stronger, as these bonuses are often crazy, making you hit harder, regain stamina faster, gain health on kill, and have stronger defenses. The list goes on. So if you are struggling, just go back to the older bosses and practice more and gain some insane bonuses while you're at it. Lastly, I want to add that this is by no means an easy game. Rather, it is how these factors interact with the Souls-like qualities of this title that make it more approachable and, most importantly, less frustrating to pick up compared to the other games in the genre. If you have been on the fence about this genre and made it to the end of this video, then please give these games a shot, and trust me, you will be pleasantly surprised. Also, if any of you watching are already big fans and are just here out of curiosity, then I also recommend this game, as I genuinely had a great time with it, and you can fully make this game as hard as you want with all the options available to you. And that brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing, as I plan on making more content covering both action and Souls games in the future. With that, thank you all for watching, and until next time.